Constructing your life is about much more than just building a bank account. Each week, join real estate entrepreneur and mindset coach Austin Linney as he interviews guests who are constructing their dream lives and impacting the world around them on a daily basis. If you're an entrepreneur or wanting to start a business, or you just want to hear motivating stories of how others have overcome the odds, you are in the right place. And now for your host, Austin Linney.
Guys, welcome to Construct Your Life. We got the one and only, my biggest guest. So I'm just so excited. He is my favorite human, Mr. Tim Rhode. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Austin. Thanks for having me on, man. We're going to have some fun. I like this. There's no script. We haven't talked at all. So
that's the way.
Let's go.
That's the way I like to do it. I'm sitting out staring at a lake right now. I'm in Louisiana. You're at your place. So it's all good. So Tim's on here. We're going to get into his One Life community and all this great stuff he does. And we're going to start somewhere because it's the story that you told, that I've told to probably 50 million people about scaling their business. And it was the story you said about the first year when you made like $86,000 and you realized that you were just a salesman and you brought on that transaction coordinator and you had no idea how you were going to pay her. And yet you like tripled your business that next year. And I thought when I tell people that story, they just stand where they're, because it really is about team. It really is about knowing your strengths. And that story has always stuck with me. I must have told it 3 times this week already alone with people trying to scale their businesses or stuff like that. So why don't you kind of tell us about how you got started in investing in real estate and we'll kind of go from there.
I think that's a really good story to start with. And it's one I don't know that I've ever been asked, but I was actually making around $70,000 a year. And Diana McClanahan was the baller escrow agent that I used at, Placer Title, whatever the heck it was, making $48,000 a year with 4 weeks paid vacation. And, to swallow hard, and it was very scary. But what it did is it freed me up to just prospect, list homes, build the business. Those were my core strengths. So it was a really brave move.
It's a story I tell because, I think a lot in my career, I have lied to myself about certain things that I think I'm good at. And what I've done is I have doubled down on my strengths and outsourced my weaknesses. And it allows me to soar. And I think that's what you did. And that was really the story that stuck with me because I don't want to do the transactions either. I just want to go sell.
Yeah. There is, though, that first year, I had to do it all. Chief cook and bottle washer. And there's things outside your comfort zone that, you have to suffer and suck through before you can, it's a chicken and egg thing. So,
amen. So when you hired her on, you started cranking, you started growing your business, and then kind of talk us through, kind of journey.
Yeah. So a couple other, you look for data points of what really moved the needle for you. And one of them was going to a Mike Ferry event down in SoCal and seeing what the other top agents outside my area were doing. And that was also, where I got the idea of I didn't have to do anything. And I was watching what others did. And I got in a small mastermind with Tom Ferry, by the way, Mike's kid, who was 17 at the time. And other top producer agents around the country. And it's kind of like we all had our own little mafia empires of things we were doing, and we stole best practices for each other. I think I called Tim Rhode and start packing from somebody in Michigan, and just so set it up. So and call Tim Rhode and start packing was a huge thing because it was our mindset of doing business. Don't call me to price your home too high, and maybe I might sell someday. We just did a lot of prospecting, and we did business with motivated, qualified people, and we really focused on coming through, and doing things right. Sold 200 properties and never been sued, and I'm really proud of that. That's something and the reason why is I've always had a healthy paranoia. How would this look if I was on a witness stand? Could I defend this? I don't want that. I don't want the dog shit that goes with, that kind of stuff. I want to you can't do great things if you're rolling in BS. So.
No, I 100% agree. And the tagline is so interesting because it's almost like you're setting the mindset in your client, like, hey, you're going to be moving. Like it's just like you said, I'm not going to be like overpricing your house and talking about it for 3 months. You're going to be moving. And like, yeah. what an amazing, you're almost setting the table,
Yeah. Locke had talked about me in Niche Down of how I did that. And if you wanted to overprice your home, I gave you my competition's name and phone number and said, call them. They specialize in price and sell and trying to sell homes that are overpriced and rarely sell. That when you're ready to move, call Tim Rhode and start packing. And I literally get up and start to walk away and they, so yeah.
Dude, that is, I love that. I did not know that story. That is fantastic. So, it's interesting because, we met because of a mastermind and then, we talked for the last year or two. And I agree with you 100%. You had your own little mafia, of guys growing up. And now you see, Tom Ferry on Instagram everywhere. And he's a top agent. And it wasn't until I got around, the story I always tell everybody when I wanted to join the mastermind, they asked me why. And this is the answer I gave. They said it was the best one this was the key to getting in. And I said, my dreams are bigger than the people around me.
Yeah.
And it was like, and it was like I was hitting that just peripheral ceiling and just kind of looking for that kind of just, and then you get in a room with people that you're very uncomfortable with being in the room because they're doing massive deals, but like they said, water finds its level, and I think that you just rise up. I mean, you have to.
Sure, makes all the difference. Yeah, makes all the difference in the world. I think.
Yeah, so. And so when you kind of got with the guys and you started GoBundance and that was kind of a thing, at the time. When that was starting, were masterminds a big deal, or was that kind of like, for me, I mean, it's pretty newer into my world, 2-3 years old, even though you read about it and Think and Grow Rich, but.
Yeah, there were, different kinds of masterminds. David Osborne and Pat Hyben, who helped me find whatever it would be. GoBundance, they were in a mastermind of our mentor, a guy named Dr. Fred Gross, Grosse, wrote a book called Black Belt of the Mind. And they met him in the late 90s. And my wife, Tina, and I were going through his teachings at the same time. So when when I met Pat and he introduced me to David, we both were fluent in Dr. Fred's teachings. And, it helped all of us really, really gel because we spoke the same language. And we were both, although very different with very different goals, we all have the same values and want to just be the best we can be, number one. And number two, they had this and brought me into it, a strong will for telling you when they see you aren't living up to who you said you want to be. And they're brutal about it. I mean, it hasn't been easy. I'll be honest with you, Austin. They've hurt the shit out of my feelings to a point where I've cried. I'm a kind of an emotional person. I thought, those SOBs, how could they do this? They're so mean. And I thought, wait a minute, dude, they love you enough to call you out on your shit and stand for you. And these are the guys, man, those are the people you want to have around you. So both GoBundance and One Life have flourished and blossomed with this, I stand for you and I'll hold up my end, so we're all trying to outdo each other in the different ways we do things. We don't want to be each other. We just want to be the best we can be and kind of one up each other. And it's fun.
Yeah. And it's, Matty A taught me, he said, I'm a really nice guy, but my standards aren't. And so anybody that works with me or is around me, like especially now with who I've become, like there's no like that is the level of accountability that is needed if you're going to move the needle forward with just competitions out there and everything's available. And I would imagine that because you had that, I mean, aggressive love, we'll just call it aggressive love, that it made you rise up, because that's just, like they said, it just sharpens you up and it just pushes you forward.
Yeah, it's made me go out and get new coaches and find and be a part of new masterminds. I got into Hal's mastermind, which kind of brought us into Berghoff and Broman and down that whole rabbit hole at one point because of frustration. Just, I just needed to see different perspectives of things. And then I hired my spirit coach, Janai Lane, who I've been working with for 5 years now.
Mm-hmm. And I guess the question that I would ask you is you sent me pictures yesterday. You're hiking on the mountain. In essence, you don't need the coaches. You don't need the mastermind, at this, point in your life. So what is it that keeps making you go back to that kind of that draws?
I'm going to call you out. That's ageist.
So let me give you my answer, honest answer. In my mind, I'm 60 years old going on 8. And I choose to live in curiosity, courage, and caring. I used to be 12, but then I realized that's when my through coaching, through my newest coach, Phil Toll, who Google this dude, he coached Metallica and Sean Penn and coach Dick Vermeil, and then they won the Super Bowl. Dude's a baller. Towele, Phil Toll.
Okay.
But anyway, he helped me realize 12 was really tough years when my mom left my dad, and I have a lot of kind of things I'm dealing with, which we all do, from our childhood. But he's helped me go deep in it, and it's had me literally go from 12 to 8 in my mind. And that's where I choose to live. And like you said yesterday, I climbed Mount Lassen, the last volcano that blew before Mount St. Helens, and skied down it. Spent 6 hours just out getting the goods in the woods and meditating and connecting to those that came before me. And in this meditation, I was talking to Buddha and Jesus, and we were going deep. So it was, on them. Yeah. So I am so far from being done. My mind, I've only begun. And that's something Phil Toll and I've worked on is, how did the Mick's still producing baller music in his 80s,
we gave the best answer ever, because I literally dropped a podcast today talking about the idea was absolutes, right? I think that people live their life in absolutes and everything's just certain, right? And by having certainty, you don't have curiosity. By not having curiosity, you don't have space for creativity. And so that's why I'm drawn to your philosophy, but mainly you as a person. You're like, it's always the next adventure. It's always the next kind of thing. And that's what I think is great about life, is because that we ebb and flow through different seasons, as I call it. And I think that you can see it in the way you talk and the way that you do One Life events. Like there is an 8-year-old in there, and he's having having a blast,
Oh, he's having a blast. And Simon Sinek's latest book, the Infinite Game, and it's about there's nothing finite. This is all. Sorry about that. It's moving my dogs underneath me. She gets fussy.
Yeah.
It's all about this is the win. It's just a continuing one adventure after another. And not only you dancing with what your intentions are and your goals, but you're dancing with COVID. And then Mr. Floyd being murdered and what that spawned. So we have to dance within the world of how we want it, and the world of what is. And the winners are the flexible ones. David Osborne taught me flexibility is that don't have hard and fast rules and don't have firm beliefs that no one's ever gonna, but BS, man. Look at new data that comes down and be open to maybe I don't have all the answers. And that's that curiosity and by the way, there is right and wrong. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
There are morals, and there is integrity, and there is good and evil. But sometimes we think we know, but we don't know. So
I don't know a lot of the times, but what I choose to do, and what's happened to me over the life shifting last 60 days, 70 days, is that I choose to wake up and I choose to be the best version of myself, and I choose to lead with value and impact, and I just let everything else kind of handle itself, and then the universe kind of seems to be opening up. But I think that is something inside of me. As I look back and reflect, I think curiosity is really the secret weapon, because that allows you to not feel so firm on decisions, right? Because as a real estate investor, I'm just using that as a context. Maybe you started off in single families, and then you got to multifamilies, and then you didn't want to do any of those things, and you just wanted to be out in the woods, but then you still invested in deals. So I just think that we as people go through stages, and I think that's because your curiosity and because you're out there in nature. I think that you're young at heart, and I think that I think the One Life community keeps you like young at heart. True story. I don't know if you know this about me, but I spent 20 years in the restaurant business. I'm an older man now. I'm 38, but I always thought that because I worked with 18, 19, and 20-year-olds, I felt like way younger. Because maybe I didn't relate with them, but I sure felt like that.
Their energy.
Yeah, for sure. And like all the kids that we hire now for our companies, we try to focus on 18 to 22-year-olds, and we're trying to groom them, mold them, and it's just like they love competition. So like I like a little competition, so I think that keeps you young at heart.
Well, here's something that most don't think about is this concept of cross mentoring. Like you're helping them with, wisdom and just mistakes you've made and things that you've lived a little and observed and can help. They're helping you with where's things going, what's cool. And this is, I'm honored that young people like to hang out with me because, it's not,
Well, one of the things I heard about a month ago was a business guy said that at every point in your life, meaning every stage of your life, you need to be mentored by somebody and be mentoring somebody. Yeah. And he said, if you do that, then you'll be good to go. And I've been lucky enough, obviously, to be around a bunch of GoAbundance guys who are amazing. And like you said, they don't put up with the BS, and you just go to work. But what I want to focus on now, because I think it's such a big thing, and something that I'm leaning into, and we'll talk about what I'm going to get into, because I made a decision yesterday. I'm actually going to start a fund with every real estate transaction that I do to provide grants for kids to go to college. And I'm going to provide investing relations for kids and all this stuff. It's just something that I'm really passionate about. But what I want to talk about is what I think is probably one of the best organizations that exists, One Life Fully Lived, the roadmap for kids, and kind of why don't you dive into kind of how that got started and the impact that I believe is so important right now, especially right now.
Cool. Well, I hope you give the fund towards college and also towards our roadmap. So, because it's an amazing tool. It's something I wish I had when I was 15 years old, and again at 18 years old. 15 is our One Life roadmap for students trying to figure out who in the heck am I and where am I going with all of this? And let me give you two concepts that our core teachings are all about. Number one is we call it the fulfillment triangle. So just look at a triangle, and on the bottom left is where are my passions, on the other side is where are my talents, and on top is opportunity in the marketplace. What do I love to do? Where am I good at? And where can I fit in and thrive and crush it? So that's my it for a young person. What do I want to do? What's my vehicle? Maybe I don't want to go to college. Maybe I'll just learn a trade. Maybe I want to be an entrepreneur. If I'm going to be a doctor, lawyer, pharmacist, go to college. But so many just go down that path, get debt, and they're handcuffed and they're way behind. Okay. So number one, where will I fit in and thrive? And then here's our core roadmap teachings: vision planning. Where am I going with all of this? Finances. How will I fund it? Relationships. We talked about the people around you and who's your mentors. And then wellness. How can I be healthy in my mind, body, and spirit to pull off this holistic life I was meant to live? And I got to tell you, Austin, I was up on top of Mount Lassen skiing a volcano yesterday, and it's where I created One Life Fully Lived 10 years ago. And I was thinking of this amazing thought that I'm up here skiing while we have our One Life Roadmap Guide certification course going on. And there's 12 guides being certified. So it's kind of like the kids, Susan Jacobson and Carol and Colleen, are teaching the grandkids, these 12 students, to go teach the great grandkids, which are all the entities that these are going to get into all over America: schools, prisons, sober community, foster agencies, big brothers, big sisters, Salvation Army. Our roadmap's going to be all over. We're working with Black Lives Matter. I'm talking to the mayor of a city on Friday morning on how we can bring our program into their city and their entire community. I'm talking to somebody in Oakland about hooking us up with the Golden State Warriors and Lady Gaga to sponsor our works in East Oakland that we're going to be doing there through GoBundance members, introducing me to community leaders. You guys know what's going on right now. Look what's going on. What do people need? A way out, a way up. What better than figuring out where will I fit in and thrive, the fulfillment triangle, and how will I do it? Our core 4 teachings: vision planning, finances, relationships, and wellness. So we want to one life the world. And it's our time has come and it's time to unleash this amazing community. You've seen, the One Life community, the GoBundance community. We have the tools in those areas. We have coaches and masters in all these areas that want to serve, and One Life's giving them a way to do it in their community, in their way.
No, and it's beautiful, and I love it. And that like, and just so you don't know much about me, but I'll give you why this all makes sense and makes sense. In high school and middle school, I have a photographic memory. So I never studied. Like, school was super easy. I would just look at the paper, make an A. Well, like 17, my parents got divorced and I switched schools to the country. But for me, I felt like I got left behind big time. Mm-hmm. College was a nightmare. I still did okay, but dropped out a couple times. But I don't feel like there was a guidance counselor, because it was just Austin's ADD. He doesn't give a shit. He's dyslexic. He just doesn't care. No, I just didn't find it interesting, like, at all. And but in that system, you're just labeled as difficult, and then they just push you to the side. And it's hard for parents to find places to sign up for grants. It's hard for, like, all these things are really hard. So it's always been a dream of mine to be involved in a community like that. But what's crazy to me is that happens so often. And what changed my life was I had a friend's dad hand me. I remember it like it was. I swear to God, I remember where I was, the date.
Data point.
He handed me Rich Dad Poor Dad, and he said, "Hey, I've known you for a long time. You seem different. Read this." And I read it, changed my entire life. And I look at stuff like that, and you're 100% right. There are kids out there. Look, if you want to go to college and you want to be a doctor and you want to do all this, yes, we champion it. Great. But there's a lot of kids out there that have special skills that are not championed by the school system as it sits right now. And that's where I think y'all come in. And I think that's why it's so beautiful.
Right. And just so you know, we'll go into schools and we'll say, how many of you are going to college? And every hand will shoot up because it's what they're taught is the way out. Hey, how many of you want to be an entrepreneur? Crickets. They don't do lemonade stands. You're gonna need a permit now. You know, they make it very simple for you to be another brick in the wall. They make it very difficult to you to be thoughtful and empowered to go out and figure out, where do I fit and where will I thrive and what do I do? And that's our community. We're all, Susan Jacobson today was talking about, we need a visual of a scaffolding in the One Life community, because that's what we're all doing. You're working on your life. It's kind of that mafia thing I was talking about earlier, but with there's now, like, if you count Hal's community and all the connected communities of mastery, there's probably 1 million of us that are all Matty A's community, and just everybody's working on their own thing, but all kind of cousins or planets in the same solar system of helping themselves, their family, their community, the country, and the world be a better place. No matter your political stripe, none of that matters in our world.
I was reading the book, and I can't remember where it was, but he was talking about human behavior. And what he was saying, it pertains to the school systems. The world is built on a herd mentality. So if you, as a person, an entrepreneur, or somebody that's different, if you remove yourself from that, they almost try to pull you back because it's not what they're used to. Like when I got sober, and I was an alcoholic for 20 years. When I got sober, they think that not drinking is the hardest part. No. Showing up and not being drunk Austin anymore around people that you're used to being drunk Austin, and they're not used to you being sober, and they're uncomfortable with it, that's the hardest part. And that's because changing your life, doing something different, which is not going to college. And that's why I find it so rewarding, because I would have, like you said, you wish you would have had this when you were young. I would give anything in my life at 17 to have met a real estate investor who would have took me under his, I would have worked like you've never seen anybody work, and now I'm 38 and now I can provide that opportunity. And so, when I can do it, like true story, I just hired a guy. He's listening right now. I just hired him, and he's working for me, and he wants to learn. And he said, "Why are you doing this?" And I said, "Because I want to, because it's great, And I mean, that's just such a great thing, right? And so that's what your community is providing. And guys, if you haven't gone to an event in person, you really need to check out this event. They're doing great stuff. Family friendly, just everything's just amazing. Are y'all gonna be? Are y'all starting to kick those off again in a couple months, or?
We've actually really changed our whole model. Most of what we're doing for our community is online, but through we have different events weekly, and then what we're really going towards though is teaching through our contributor club, which is available at onelifefullylived.org. Number one, onelifefullylived.org. And also our One Life Roadmap Guide certification. So you can learn two things. Number one, how to facilitate these events. Have you seen the Zoom breakout?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's like the next wave for sure. They love that. Right.
And you got to give John Berghoff through his exchange community. I want to give him a huge shout out. Mm-hmm. He's part of a huge shift. Yeah. So there's that piece of it, and Carolyn Colleen has been through his program and is really well versed in it. Brother James has helped us a lot develop this program. So that's half of it, is learning that facilitation technique, and the other half is mastering our One Life roadmaps teachings. So what better way to master something than to learn it and have to teach it? So we're training guides to, we have our first paid class this time, and we'd love for you guys to go through that, and then we can help you teach our material in your area?
And I'm just saying it right now, so you can hold me to it. It's live and recorded. Okay, so we'll talk about it off air. But I'm gonna make it mandated that all my employees take the thing. So
That's
we're
wonderful.
yeah, so we're gonna make that, and then I can learn it, and then because what we decided we're gonna do is we're gonna have young kids in twice a month to work with us, and then just be around that environment in our office in entrepreneurship and teach them like little money things and stuff like that.
Austin, that's amazing, man. Good for you. Well, this will be right up your alley, and there's some other things coming. I had put a tease in the One Life community about being on this call. I said, want to learn about 426.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Can you reveal it or not?
Sure. It's something that we're creating different levels of teaching people finances. And let me tell you where the idea originated. It was 728, which is a program that's coming out in GoBundance. How do you go? You got to be a millionaire to be in GoBundance. So how do you go from 1 million to 10 million? Like people like Daniel Del Real, and I don't know if Matty A's there yet, but he's gonna shoot way past.
He doesn't talk about that stuff.
Yeah. On the rocket ship that dude's on, he's gonna shoot past that. So in GoBundance, this is a legit program that's starting in July. 728. How do you go from 7 figures to being worth 8 figures? And in One Life, we're going to start with 325. And this is for those just starting out. These are for those kids you're going to have on. 325 is how do you make your first $100 and how do you turn it into 10,000? So that's 325. And then we're going to come up with 426. How do you take people that have $1,000 and teach them investing wise how to turn it into 100,000?
Tim, I don't think you understand. My buddy that I'm going to be working for, my mentor, has 2 young kids. I'm going to butcher their age, so I'm not even going to say it, but they're younger. They're younger, like 4, 6 or something.
They're you.
Wait for it. Every morning he's doing Wim Hof breathing techniques and cold plunges with them and teaching them entrepreneurship. So this is what he wants to do. So we're definitely going to take this in Phoenix and Scottsdale and just blow it up for you in that area.
Yeah. And it's good stuff. Like, think about, it's going to be, how can you get that first 100 if you don't have a penny? And just, what do you do legally, morally, and honestly? Let's be clear here. Yeah, but there's just so many. And these are things I was thinking on that mountain 10 years ago that we just haven't had, the opportunity. And now we've got the base through the roadmap journal for students and adults to where we can really start making things. And I just want to throw stuff out there. Watch us. Down the road, we're going to have a game called One Life. That's all of this in a game.
Oh, that's amazing.
And we just don't have time to implement all this shit rolling around in my dome.
Yeah, I tell you what, you make me look like I'm standing still. My employees feel bad for themselves, but I love it. And that's what it's about. It's about just creating an environment, showing them how to have fun. And that's what I'm noticing. And I don't know if you notice this working with a younger crowd these days. I would say from, let's say, 16 to 29, let's just give that age range. What I've noticed in a short amount of time is that the only thing they care about right now is growth. Like, that is like the number one thing. They always want to be learned. This age bracket is like obsessed with information and learning, and just so, like, you just have to keep it fresh and you have to keep it fun and just always learning, because there's just information is just so easily
relevant.
Yes.
Relevant. You were saying it, and it was the same thing I felt in high school. What the fuck, excuse my language, am I going to do with the periodic tables? It just has nothing for me there. And so you said it. How do you get to kids? You make it fun, you make it relevant, and you do it in groups. And that's
I'll tell you a true story. This is the greatest thing ever. This is why I get so much joy out of stupid like this stuff. Our videos on Instagram that me and Devin Bird do that are like funny. We're in a country character and we're doing BS stuff. You know who edits the music and puts those and films them? His 12-year-old daughter. like
Wow.
12-year-old daughter, and we pay her. I pay her,
Yes.
and I'm like, you have a business. Like, this is amazing. You're 12 years old. Like, they're so, my business partner, he's 22 years old. Like, he runs a huge company, and I'm like, at 22 years old, I was just trying to pull my head out of my butt while I was bartending, and these kids now, they're
Do
starting.
you know Will Brown yet? If you
Yeah.
don't, yeah. He's the growth he's had has been amazing.
No, now I'm just not even surprised anymore. I'm like, oh, you're 18, you've got 100 units already. Sure, I could see that.
Yeah. It's amazing, but it's a counterculture. It really is, because it's the few who are willing to go in and do the hard work, and we call them, if we go into a school or any kind of group, we realize 50% are going to go, this is amazing, I love this, and about 2/3 of that 50% candidly aren't going to get off the ground. It's not going to stick. They want to, but they just can't put it to use. There's like 15% that swallow the hook, and it's you when you read Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's me when my buddy Ian Maker, who's stepdad at the time, George, took us out for a really nice dinner, a French restaurant with 7 courses at Lake Tahoe, and said, what do you do, Tim? Well, I'm a part-time grocery clerk painting addresses on people's curbs to buy diapers for my small kids. I was just nothing. And he said, dude, you got a spark, you should, so.
And it's funny, as I'm reflecting, those chance encounters, right, where somebody just makes you think bigger.
Yeah.
And it's amazing when you get around people that see something in you that you don't even know exists because you're living your life. And there's a lot of things that I do on a day-to-day basis that I deem easy because that's what I do, right? But to anybody else, it's like, that's really hard. And so I think that we get through life sometime and we don't realize, because you're 100% right. Everybody was born with something special. Everybody. Mm-hmm. And you just have to do enough digging and enough self-work and enough getting goods in the woods to understand what that is, right? And when you do and you tap into it, it's like you're soaring. I mean, just, it's just easy.
Yeah. And you never know what will come from just being the light to somebody else. And I want to touch on one other thing. We talked about who you surround yourself with. And that guy, Ian, is a longtime friend of mine. He was in high school with me. And Ian's had a lot of challenges over his years. He's had many careers, and he isn't what you would call a success. And sometimes, candidly, calling him has been rough because we're in different places. I can't talk about what my life and what, and I'm just kind of listening to his challenges. So those are the kind of phone calls you don't make as often as you do, but those are the kind of friendships that they're not top shelf friends, at this point, but you make the point to still contact them and just check in and just say, hey dude, how you doing, man? Just want to let you know I love you, and listen for a bit. So just
that's a great point. I love it. So a lot of my audience, from the numbers that I've seen, are about 22 to 36. So I got a lot of new investors that work with me that I'm teaching. Why don't you kind of break down, let's just say 3 or 5 points, if you're new to the business, things that you should be focused on if you're looking for your first deal, or you're just looking to get in the business and maybe provide value to somebody that maybe is doing it at a bigger level.
Yeah, I would find the people in your area that you want to model, or if it's cross country, if you can do it that way. I don't think that's realistic, but like I'm selling real estate and then I want to really shift to being an investor. I go spend time with Johnny Vieira and a few other top investors in my area. I buy him breakfast, I buy him lunch. Johnny owned like 200 units at the time. and just got to know him and his model and study other models of who's doing stuff that you want to do. Go to all the investment clubs, read a lot of books, do mock deals, pretend like you bought it and see what happens. See what, if I would have bought this, what might have happened. And then just walk before you can crawl, find a way, especially now there's like cheap interest rates. Just find a way to make something happen that is a little above where you are. Take a risk, and then just fake it till you make it, and just keep on failing forward, learning, hungry, humble, and a student of the game in the trenches, fierce, determined, resilient, honest, ethical, integrity. Can't go wrong, man.
Yeah, there's nobody that's failed forward better than me. That seems to be my MO. But we're still here and we're still kicking. And no, you're 100% right. I mean, the thing that I think we talk about all the time is that everybody wants to make it so complicated. It's not. It's simple. Just look. There's Matty A. He's a great father and he's a great businessman and an even better human. I'm going to be like him. Okay, great. Oh, it's amazing. My life got so much better when I decided to walk with integrity, care about who I spend time with, and be a good person. Okay, got it. They make it have to just be this big secret. It's not. These guys are right in front of you. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
But be careful who you're following also, because they could be lying. Right. And so I think that's what's so important.
Yeah. Hey, I've got a couple docs that I'll share with your audience.
Sure.
One is Tim is Now an Investor Plan. What I did, what was my outcome, what was my purpose, and what exactly did I do? And another was my fishing lines in the water. And I love tools. And that's a really good tool. Where did out of the box places I looked for deals and formed relationships with people that might lead to multiple deals. So.
Yeah. No, and that's wonderful. And now what we're going to do towards the end of this call is we're going to call this selfish time for me. So I think that me and you have a similar personality. I think money's fine. I'm not mad about money by any stretch of the imagination. But I send you pictures on my travel. You send me pictures on your travel. I think that we both prefer experiences over everything. I think that moments in time, presence, nature, I'm finding that even farther as I get down the road, it's even that more important to me. I just love it. And is that how you've always been? Is that just kind of something that's lived inside of you for a long time?
Pretty much. When I was in the trenches, 22 to 36, building, it was inside of me, but I had to be selfless and create my destiny and kind of make all of that happen. And then I raised my kids young and I've had a second childhood. I asked my wife yesterday, I stole away for 2 days and went and got the goods in the woods and climbed and skied mountains all day for 2 days, just beat the crap out of my body. And I said, gosh, with so much going on in me, wanting to do all of this, is this selfish of me shouldn't I put all my time into it? And we both went, no, as we're taking a walk around our beautiful neighborhood. And I played 9 holes of disc golf in my backyard. And this is the stuff I made through working my butt off from 22 to 40. And being dialed in with all of that from 25 to 40. So
yeah, and I think a lot of people can't. It's always quick, right? And I want it quick, and this is hey, I'm gonna invest. And my thing is if you're living your life on legacy, right, and you're living your life on the impact when you walk off this planet, there's no rush. The thing that we say all the time in my company is it's already done. Time just hasn't caught up yet. Right. So it's just about executing. And the thing is that if you truly love what you do and you truly love working and stuff, you're happy to sacrifice a little bit so you can live like you're living right now, which is kind of my dream, is to bust off to Tuscany and disappear for a little while, and that's kind of, but I got to go make it happen first, and you got to continue to push and push and push. And I'm okay with that because I wake up every day. I'm happy what I do, and so on and so on. So, I just think for me, I see your pictures and I'm like, this is the man that is truly living, pun intended. He has constructed his life, the way he wants. But there was years in what you're saying, and I'm trying to get the point across. There was years where it wasn't all party. It was work.
It was work. Yeah. And by the way, it was also work and balancing, raising a family right, and never missing a parent teacher conference, coaching my kids in sports, and just being there and, being actively a part of their lives. And I'm really happy to see that piece come into GoBundance, and Mike McCarthy's developed Fanbundance, a piece of abundance that we really we have a wives piece of it and stuff, and we really make sure that we're full life millionaires. So
yeah, and that's the key, because the all that stuff doesn't matter if everybody's not coherent and it's a whole life. So while I get you off here, is there anything you want to share with the audience, the community, anything that you can think of before we head out here?
I would just like to, once again, just implore the audience that may listen to this on the recording, to go to onelifefullylived.org, check out the good work we're doing there. We have our One Life roadmap for adults just coming out. And that's launching on June 17th. We'd love for you to buy that, give us a great review on Amazon, and help us get it out in the world. And get to know yourself a lot better and master yourself so you can take that out into your community. Please consider going through our guide certification course. And that information's at onelifefullylived.org also. And if you have the means, check out GoBundance.com. We're healthy, wealthy, generous people who choose to lead epic lives. That's one life at a mastery level. And I just want to thank you, Austin, for having me on. And I hope your audience has gotten something good out of all of this. I just try to add value, and I as you can see, I've gone from nothing to something, and I'm very proud of the great work we've done. And I've created my One Life Fully Lived, and my parting words to your audience is: everybody has a dream. Precious few write out their dream, and very few are living their dream. And we want to see you one of those, lucky people that just get to go do what you want to do. And it just takes being in the trenches and doing it daily, and you'll get there. So keep on plugging, and thanks for having me on.
I love it. And when you were saying all that, I was thinking that this Tim that I'm talking to right now has made that 8-year-old Tim super proud.
Oh, thanks, dude. Yeah, that's cool.
I appreciate it.
Oh, shucks,
he's going, oh, shucks, man. Let's go skiing again, dude. What the hell?
Yeah, I'm checking I'm already checking next week.
Hey, I just saw my buddy runs a distillery in Breckenridge. It's like full on snowing there right now in June. It's crazy. I love it. Yeah. Guys, thank y'all so much. Thank you so much, Tim. Construct your life, share it with your friends, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks. Appreciate it, Austin.
You got it, sir.
Thank you for listening to Construct Your Life with Austin Linney. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and pay it forward by sharing with a friend. Most importantly, take this opportunity to start constructing your life by taking immediate action on what you learned. For show notes, resources, and more information on one-on-one coaching with Austin, visit constructyourlifepodcast.com.